Now we will talk about one very important question related to the Corynebacterium diphtheria, very often asked in the university exams. So uh, I am going to cover this in a separate video in this video. So it is the Elek precipitation test, which is a test for detecting the toxin of the diphtheria, that is called as the diphtherial toxin. So first you have to remember the definition of the Elek precipitation test. The definitions will be at the tongue tip. Whenever some examiner asks you what is Elek precipitation test, you should just utter these words. You can remember this definition by breaking it into parts. That is, it is a double diffusion in vitro precipitation test, precipitation test, which is used to demonstrate the diphtheria toxin. There is meaning of each of these words I have mentioned in the definition. Why it is called double diffusion, why it is called in vitro why it is called in vitro, why it is called the precipitation test. So you have to just remember the definition of this Elix gel precipitation test. Okay, so coming to the principle behind this Elix gel precipitation test, the principle is that the toxin which is produced by the bacteria that spreads up on the agar, and when it meets to the respective antitoxin at a particular concentration, then there is formation of a line of precipitation. We will see how. For the time being, you just remember that when the bacteria is cultured over or strict over the agar, then what happens, it releases the toxins and the toxin diffuses over whole of the media. And when we keep the antitoxin on the same media, then obviously the diffusing toxin will meet the diffusing antitoxin over the media. And when there is meeting of this toxin with the antitoxin, then there is formation of a precipitation line at the point of meeting. So let's come to the procedure. The procedure is that we will be using the horse serum agar. We will be using the horse serum agar, and what we'll be doing is that we'll be taking a filter paper and will impregnate it with the diphtheria antitoxin and will place it over this agar. So suppose if this is the horse serum agar, okay, if this is the horse serum agar, and we have taken a strip of the or of a filter paper which is impregnated with the diphtheria antitoxin, and we place this strip over the, okay, so we place that strip over that agar. So what happens, the antitoxin will start diffusing throughout this media. The antitoxin from that impregnated filter paper will diffuse everywhere on that medium. Now see what we do after putting that filter paper over that agar. So once we put that filter paper over that agar, then we do streaking. And how will we do that? We'll take the colonies from three cultures and we'll streak over the agar perpendicular to the filter paper. So see here I have done perpendicular to the filter paper. This is filter paper and this is perpendicular to the filter paper streaking done. Okay, so the three cultures, what are those three cultures? One is the taste culture. I have streaked this taste culture. Then the culture of non-toxigenic strain of the Clostridium diphtheria, which is this one. And then a culture of non-toxigenic strain of the Corynebacterium diphtheria, which is this one. Okay, so in this way we'll stick from the three cultures. We will stick from the three cultures. One is the taste culture, which is the above one. Then we have the culture of non-toxigenic strain and the culture of non-toxigenic strain. So what is the need of putting these two? I can understand that the test culture is strict for knowing the toxigenicity of that bacteria. But why is what is the need of this toxigenic strain and the non-toxigenic strain? So this is because this non-toxigenic strain is for the is called as the positive control. This is to validate the test. If this also comes out to be negative, if there is no precipitation line with this also, that means the test is invalid. Okay, so that means with this known toxigenic strain there must be some precipitation line seen that will make our test valid. Otherwise, if no precipitation line appears around this culture of a streak of this known toxigenic strain, then the test will become invalid. That is the role of the known toxigenic strain as the positive control. And similarly, this non-toxigenic strain is for the negative control. Okay, now coming to the our interpretation. But after streaking, we will incubate it for we will incubate it for for 48 hours at 37 degrees centigrade, and then we have the interpretation. How will we interpret it? So interpretation is very easy. So when there is a known toxigenic strain, there is formation of a precipitation band. That means our test is valid. And the non-toxigenic strain does not produce any precipitation line. That also makes our test valid, because obviously it should not produce. Okay, because it is non-toxigenic strain which is known to us already. So that means this is also indicating towards a valid test. Now the most important point is about the test culture. What happens to the taste culture streak? So if there that taste culture is toxigenic strain, then there will be production of precipitation line. But if it is non-toxigenic strain, there will be no precipitation line. See here, I have shown with the diagram also. The this uh, b streak was by the known toxigenic strain. That means this was the positive control. See here, it has shown the streak lines, I mean it has shown the precipitation lines. Four precipitation lines are appearing with respect to this toxigenic strain. That means the test is valid. And with the known non-toxigenic strain, which is this C, there is no precipitation line seen around the C. That means it is not uh, that means this C is a non-toxigenic strain. It is confirmed, so it is making our test valid. But if we see the point A or the streak A, that streak which was done by the test culture, we can see that there is no precipitation line seen around that streak. That means it is a non-toxigenic strain. That's why there is no precipitation line seen with seen with this. Okay, now coming to the, if the test culture was toxigenic. Okay, if the culture test culture was of a toxigenic strain, then there will be production of precipitation line. Now that precipitation line may be formed in three forms, uh, may be formed in three forms, and by virtue of that those forms of formation, by virtue of the the formation of those precipitation line, we can know about the relatedness between the test strain and the known strain. This B is the known strain and this A is the uh, test strain. So we can know the relatedness between these two by virtue of the precipitation line. Let's see what are the three forms of the precipitation lines which we can see. Okay, which we can see with the toxigenic, if the test culture is toxigenic. So here, uh, those three patterns are the crossover of the bands, the spur formation, and the fusion of the bands. So see here, there is crossover of the bands on both the sides, and here there is spur formation. It is crossing at one point but not crossing at the other point. Here also there is is here also there is spur formation. And if you finally see here, there is fusion of the band, there is fusion of the band. Okay, there is fusion of the band, there is no crossing, no spur formation. So if there is crossover of the bands, that means they are unrelated strands. This A strain, that is the test strain, and this B, which was the non known toxigenic strain, that was the relationship between them is that they are not related by any means. When there is spur formation, that means they are partially related. And when there is fusion of the bands, that means they are identically similar. Okay, they are identical strains, they are similar strains. Means the test strain is just similar to the known toxigenic strain B. Okay, so by that these findings we can know about the relatedness between the toxigenic strain and the test strain. Okay, now coming to the definition of this test, the Elix gel precipitation test. The definition was that it is a double diffusion in vitro precipitation test. Now, coming to the first one, why it is double diffusion? The double diffusion is because there is diffusion of antitoxin from this strip, plus there is diffusion of toxin from these streaks. From these streaks. Okay, so there is diffusion from these streaks. So that means there is diffusion from the streaks. Also, there is diffusion from the strip of filter paper as well. So from the filter paper there is diffusion of antitoxin, and from those streaks of the cultures there is diffusion of the toxins. That means two things are diffusing over that culture media, hence it is double diffusion. Now coming to the next part of definition, that it is in vitro. In vitro means it is done outside the animal body, outside the body. Okay, so we know about the in vitro fertilization, means fertilization which is done outside the body, that is called as in vitro. Similarly here also the in vitro means the the test which is done outside the body. Now precipitation test, in vitro precipitation test. So why is this called precipitation? Because we know that whenever the antitoxin meets with the toxin, there will be precipitation line form. So that's why it is the precipitation, and that's why that is the definition of the Elixir precipitation test. So I have explained the definition of the Elixir precipitation test also here. Now coming to the last point of this Elixir precipitation test, that is what is the significance? What is the significance of this Elixir precipitation test? The significance is that this confirms the toxigenicity of the pathogen in vitro. Okay, so this is all about the Elixir precipitation test. You should know this very carefully, you know, because very often asked in the university exams as short notes or as a separate question, short answer question. So this is all about the Elixir precipitation test.